Hello and all, and welcome to RoStrap Dive. Today, we are going to be working on trying to find out what keys does, and also what input component is and how it compares to keys. And I am going to show you a little bit of footage of how my script works in my game, and compare that to keys. So, let's get started. First of all, I am going to see if I can find some footage. So I'm going to find that. Okay, I think I know where it's at. It's in my Roblox folder. Yeah, they still use WMV. So here we go, we have some footage. As you can see, I'm in the menu and I am deploying. So, as you see there, I'm also using the HK33. And yeah, there's one along in the background. Sorry about that. Oh, as you can see, that uses input component. That uses input component to aim. And also, that uses input component too, but it's a different variation of the aim. I can move around. There's a character controller built in the input component. What else is there? Also has support for move angle, if you didn't know. But I couldn't really show you because I had to get the footage quickly. Oh, that's a reload key. What else is there? Oh yeah, select fire. You can switch to safety and then back to semi. And you also have a radial component in the input component, or radial menu. And yeah. So now the screenshot should be done. Okay. So now you saw that, right? All the stuff that I mentioned had input component does have input component. Let me show you how that works. If you go into this script here, you can see I have a lot of things set up. It's a mess sometimes, but it works. You see I have active gamepad, I have even pressed as a meter table, just to make sure that everything is cached properly. You have gamepad enabled stuff. Platform, you can recalibrate it, meaning you can change platforms in case you ever change. You also have supports, user input type for key code, and then the active gamepad thing. And you even have mouse behavior for placement. You have a platform sheet, which allows you to use images of, or sprite sheet images of inputs. Basically, keyboard and gamepad work with this. Unfortunately, I don't have the sprite sheets with me, but on another tutorial, maybe I can show you how that works. Get image instances there. And you have scaled image label too. As you can see, this is all my code here, compiled from various sources in some areas, but some of it is actually compiled by me and others, such as the selection controller and the input scheme, which is down here. Now this is the radial UI. This is what I mentioned before. Uses a graph module, which I don't have here, but I could show you in another tutorial whenever. And basically this is like a graph thing. So whenever you have to, like, for example, you know, make a radial menu that has branches and branches of stuff to do, this comes in handy. So just keep that in mind. Setup options, yeah, we know about that already. prompt menu does what it does. It prompts, basically opens the graph menu and radio menu, and you just choose what you want, but it returns a result from that. Which is useful, especially when you have to like switch between laser or flashlight in the game regarding attachments. You're going to need something like that in case you ever have an attachment on a gun or whatever that uses 2 or more choices to actually do certain things. Like, for example, there are certain sites in which have flashlight and a laser component, which means you would switch between flashlight and laser. Yeah. But you also have some optics that are just lasers, and you want to switch between those. So that could come in handy too. I just thought about that. Anyways, let's move on. Yeah, the input thing is here. Now this is the good stuff. The input axis. That allows me to move around in that footage of me playing the game. So this is what actually powers it. If you move around, you can, for example, you can look up and down, and you can also do other things too, such as being able to like run around and stuff with the input axis, or maybe even do other things, such as firing a weapon. Now, pinch axis was supposed to be for mobile. That's what we were supposed to use to actually pinch in and out regarding aim. However, mobile is still on hold regarding my game because of the controls being a little weird on mobile. Luckily, there are a few new modules. Aurora, however, will be cancelled regarding the tutorial because of the fact that it is deprecated probably about now, even though I still use it. Which is weird. But I still use it, and yet it's cancelled. Okay, loadout input scheme. That's basically what you saw me use in the footage regarding switching from rifle to pistol. That's not an easy job, though. Being able to switch from an assault rifle to the most powerful pistol in the game regarding starter pistols, starter weapons being the weapons that you get automatically when you start the game. This allowed me to switch from, yes, the HK-33 to the USP-40, if you saw that right. Now how that works is, it's the same thing as, the axis up above. But, here's the main difference. This works with actually switching between your loadout. You can use any home row key, actually not home row keys, but yeah, home row key, that's a number, from 1 to 7. Because remember, this comes from Crossroads Warfare, Rodblogan Warfare, whatever you prefer to call it. It comes from that game. So, okay. So now we go to the interactions. This could not show you the footage of because we didn't have time. But this would do is, if you were to walk up beside something like a door or a weapon on the ground or whatever, you would be able to interact with it because it would show you the key or control that you press, and then it would show you either hold to and then do something, or just do something. If it's do something, it's press. If it's not, it's hold. Now, I also made a program for making something, or making like certain templates for interactions. I made a program in C# using WPF, in which you can actually create this in the program. I'm serious, you can do this. And the good thing about this is that it's a different type of interaction. It's not you just picking up weapons. This is much more, and you're going to see that in a later tutorial video. Moving on, you know what this does. It does it on run your step, of course. And then you have the highest priority gamepad. You have the stuff for actually placing things down. Yes, there's a placement system in here, as you can see. Mainly we have primitives and maybe a few other things such as spawns. They're called rally points, by the way, in the game. So, just so you know. and target filter and all that stuff. We have the loadout scheme. Rumble preset is haptics. Now, haptics is something I would not use yet. It's supposed to be used for recoil and maybe things like that, but not very much, because you have to use haptics a certain way. It's just like sound design, kind of. You got to use it a certain way and for certain purposes. So this is Rumble preset, and yeah, you have a fallback, desired spring. Well, the fallback is basically the motor that you would use if the other motor, the desired one, is not available. For example, sometimes on Xbox you can use the left and right trigger, but on PC, when you have the controller connected, my Blue controller, you'd only be able to use mainly the small and large motors. So, moving on. Yeah, that is what you saw in the footage. The character controller. Now this thing is just like your average character controller from Roblox, but maybe different. It also includes a move angle, so that you can it works very well with crawling. Yes, there's crawling in this game. And it uses the input controller that we've set up. All of it is powered by this. I'm serious. I don't know how I got that to happen, but hey, it works. Another thing, you have Rumble presets, which is like stuff that you would use. You've got recoil and recoil 2. Of course, you can set the rumble. Now this is the kicker. All this code with the input began and input ended and changed is the kicker. It's what makes everything else above and below work. So keep that in mind. But yeah, you got all of that stuff there. Touch pinch was also supposed to be in the game, but unfortunately it does not work as much. But this right here is really special. This is for selection scheme, which I'm going to show you. If you were to plug in a gamepad, you would see how it works, because it would use the A button image, and that's the selection you have selected. When you press down on A, you select the button you activated or whatever. Simple. Or do whatever action you want. You can also do secondary actions, but they would come down below. So, keep that in mind. Like, there'll be a certain action and then a certain UI that you'll have to select in order to see what I mean. So, keep that in mind. Anyways, also you can set keybinds. I'm serious. You can literally set keybinds from a module or package, in this case called Replica, in which you can take all the binds. The binds are, by the way, letters. Strings, in other words. So you take the strings, you put them in, it will process it, and if you want to get the actual key code, you use get bind code, and basically what that does is it takes the string that you inputted, which is basically the bind, and then it will put it in enum.keycode, and then there's brackets, whatever that is, and then there's, that. So is input down. Of course, it's, press, input enum. It does this for everything. Oh, let me go back down again. Sorry about that. I accidentally pressed the wrong key. And then you have is bind down. Now, is bind down is like is input down, but it uses the binds that you put in from set binds, literally. And then if you want to get the bind code, like I said before, it's right there. That's how that works. You also have dimensions, selector dimensions for the images. And this is the selection scheme. This is the thing that works on Xbox. So if you were to actually use this, this is what will replace the selection system that Roblox implanted into their game when they were doing Xbox controller input. So yeah, keep that in mind. It does use an indicator. And you also have to map each object to another index. So yeah. And so what I mean by that is the index of an object in the selection is what you would map it to. Like, where does it go? Does it go from loadout to unlock, or does it go from loadout to unit? The buttons that you would see if you were to open up the loadout menu is what I'm referring to there. So, moving on, we have input group. That was not used. Unfortunately, none of that was used. This is used, however. This is the kicker here, regarding all those inputs you saw. And also, this isn't just for like organizing inputs. This is for making sure that the inputs work on controller as well. Because if I were to jump up here, hold on, let me go grab my controller from my shelf, and I were to turn on the controller, what would happen is the controller would be able to work. However, you have to press the D-pad. Hear me pressing those buttons, right? D-pad up, D-pad down. That's how you change modes and are able to use every action in the input scheme on Xbox. Interesting. You can register actions, you can check if they're part of modes and all that stuff. You also have a core mode, which is general, and that works too. Basically what general does is it's basically like the crouching and stuff, and then the aim. The ADS is also in general mode. Like anything that's common goes in there. And as you can see here, you also have the toolbox scheme, which is used for placing objects. And yeah, that's it. So this is keys. We're comparing both scripts. Now this is more efficient regarding keyboard and has a dual action, which I've been wanting to make for a while. So as you can see here, key down is basically the same thing as what we had in here, but much more efficient and much better. It's more lightweight than this. This is for heavy duty stuff, like for example being able to, you know, use the input component properly. Sorry about that. Oh, kind of tired, but I have to do this anyway. But yeah, basically it's kind of like that, but this is more lightweight. This is for stuff in which doesn't involve too much. Now let me pull up the documentation. Just looking for the documentation. I'll be right there. Okay, here we go. So, like I said, keys is a lightweight library for simplifying key input, while input component is more heavy duty. Now, if you want to see how I can use this, we will go into that later. So, let's do a tutorial, or let me just show you how this will work in a script. So I'm going to create a local script, and I'm going to grab this for sure, copy that, and just add keys. So now also, by the way, this tutorial wouldn't be possible if Dark didn't actually fix the problem that we had yesterday. It would have been canceled. So thank him for fixing that. And adding some really cool modules to the lineup. So now we have the load library. We did that, of course. And here's some things you can do without, that are not in input component. Keys pause. Which disconnects everything. Keys zoom. Now I might add this into my script, but for right now, let's just focus on this. So what this does is basically it disconnects every single connection that is involved with the keys. So it disconnects that. The same thing would happen in input component if this was implemented, except it would happen for 6 connections. Now, resume, same way. Except it does the exact opposite. You know? And this is how you reference keys. Comparison here is pretty straightforward. You can do this here, but you couldn't do this anywhere else. Anywhere else you just have to remember certain arguments and stuff in the input component, even though it is heavy duty work. This is lightweight. It's supposed to be for just simple input on the PC. So Q is keys.q. Basically it finds the key, Q key, which has an event thing or whatever you call that, with key up and key down. So let me show you that. Right? So instead of doing what we would have done up here, well, let me show you. Okay, it's multi-moded. By the way, it's multi-moded means there's more than one input mode in the input scheme. Just so you know. So scheme action, you can put in actions, and then you can also put axes in there too, by the way. So, Q, that key down. I'm just showing you that so that you know the difference. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is different. Q.key down connect, right? That is from this. The input component, you'd only be able to connect something if it was an axis. But this is different. This is not just an axis. Well, actually, it's not an axis at all. It's more like an action than an axis. So, keep that in mind. Now, you can also do the same thing with this. Now, to show you that it works, I will demonstrate me pressing Q on the keyboard. As you can see, it all works. Just like input component works, this works. Alright? Now, what if you wanted to do a double thing? Now, one thing you can't do is this. In input component. That's one of the major drawbacks of the script. You can't wait for it unless you did something like a universal wait for a key to be pressed. Because then, yeah, there's an event in there that detects when keys are pressed. Okay. So, just letting you know. As you can see, it's a Q first, and that works. Of course. So now we have. Now you can't manually fire these events either because it's based on pure input component. but you can do it in this script as well. And what I mean by that is this. Okay, yeah. So basically you can do all of that in one thing. And yeah. So now I'm going to show you Shift plus E. Shift plus E. Okay? So that will be simple. Well, actually not Shift plus E, Shift plus Q. Sorry. So it would be shift that key down. Yeah, that. Okay. Shift that key down, plus Q, that key down. Connect. This is something that input component can't do yet. It's not designated for like double actions, but it will be sometime. You will be able to do this. So, here we go. Let's just show you what I mean by that. As you can see there. I can do Shift and Q. So now, let me talk about overhead. So we do have a lot of overhead in the input component at times, but it's non-existent or non-noticeable because it's on the client mainly. And two, it's when I tested it, it was really smooth in my game for some reason. Like when you play on a Roblox client, it's really smooth because the input is just there. But here's what we have here. So, well, it's kind of hard to explain. Because, yeah, keys is really light. But input component is more heavy duty. That's the only way I can explain it. I mean, the way they set up keys, it's just tables, functions, nothing more. Input component is set up for really advanced input, like selection. Input modes, where you can switch between those with a gamepad using the D-pad buttons. Rumbling, haptics, gamepads, placement, all that stuff. So yeah. Basically, that is what I was trying to show you. Now, next week, we will do maybe, I think we did checkbox already in radio, but I think we're going to do either enumeration. Oh yeah, we are going to do enumeration next week. Or was it Rippler? No, it was Rippler. Rippler. Then we'll do a recap of the radio and show you how to use it in the video after that. So, yeah. Anyways, my name is Airnos12, and I will see you next week. Alright? Cheers to